This is my favorite story. He was worried about the word bomb in relation to a hospital and that kind of environment, a healthcare place, a mental health care place. So I was racking my brain and I decided, then here we go. The gently explosive art of yarn bombing and other acts of stitchery. And we had a photo shoot here, which was absolutely insane. The most fun we've ever had with a photo shoot. We all got dressed up in strange bits of crochet and masks and so on.
When Sue mentioned yarn bombing, I thought, wow, well that's something a lot of people don't know about. Let's explore that. So yarn bombing became the essence of the exhibition.
It's crochet and knitting, it's yarn bombing, it's, in some cases, it's women's work, but brought far beyond women's work, so it's kind of subversive as well. We do have men in the show who have stitched.
It's really, we're looking for the most challenging needlework and sewing that is possible.
Because I've been to some hospitals, I think the kind of, you know, artwork can be a little bit monotone or boring or just neutral or just not very inspiring. And I really think you could like do something different in a space like that, where a lot of people like a public space. I think it's important to do something like that. Make people have a better time, basically have a better day and enjoy it.
You couldn't go in there and not be cheered up by everything. It's unexpected and it's sort of life-affirming.
Walking around New York, you'll find that bicycles, overnight bicycles, and supermarket shopping trolleys have been completely covered in knitwork. It's absolutely amazing, and it's fun.
We brought in Susie Johns into the exhibition, and she is a very powerful yarn bomber.
I don't like the expression yarn bombing because I think it's aggressive, but I quite like guerrilla knitting because it's this sort of, you know, doing it a bit on the sly, you know, so you don't get caught. Around here in Greenwich, you could actually be fined up to £50 on the spot for graffiti, and yarn bombing is included in that, which seems a shame. But basically, it's taking something knitting and using it to somehow decorate your neighbourhood, you know, the spaces around where you live. So it's a bit like graffiti, but it's removable, you know, it's not hurting anything.
The most interesting examples of yarn bombing for me in the exhibition are Susie Johns has created the interior of a cherry blossom trunk, and she's got the interior of the tree knitted, and there's also a Dalek from Doctor Who that's wearing a winter hat.
And there is Vincent van Gogh. I ran into Fabia like so many others at the Color Walk. You know, I just know this is a person whose work we need to have in the gallery, and the bunting, it makes it yarn bombed. The traditional feeling of it, yet so wonderfully colorful and just strewn across the wall. It's incredibly exciting. And with you standing underneath it, it's even more exciting. Thank you.
I'm not really a yarn bomber, to tell you the truth. I write books, and a publisher got in touch and said, would I do a book? They had this idea for a book called Guerrilla Knitting. And then the publisher went bust without paying me and everything. And I had all this material, really, really nice photographs with all my kids being furtive going along the riverside, because I'm right by the River Thames here. It was a ripe area for yarn bombing. You know, there were walls and lampposts and trees. There were, you know, those sort of rings that they tie ships up to. You know, we yarn bombed them. It was really good. There were warehouse doors where we could pin great big pieces up, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I must admit, it did give me a taste for that kind of thing, you know.
And Vivian and Susie Johns. Vivian does the crocheting with plastic bags. They come to our color walks. We do color walks once a month, and I saw what they were wearing, and we had little talks, and it turns out they are stupendous artists. So we brought them in, and they helped make the show.
But I think the colour walks were started about 3 years ago or something, and I came in not right at the beginning, but quite soon. People love it. People come up to you and say, how lovely to see somebody, you know, with bright colours.
We're basically just really into colour, so, you know, from that you just kind of like connect and talk about it and do projects together all the time, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's been wonderful meeting everybody at the colour walk, because they kind of like give me some confidence boost that I never had before. I was thrilled when Sue asked me to take part in it. It was like, wow, somebody else is going to see them instead of just like sitting around my house.
We just spark off each other. We drive each other crazy often, but it works. And you know, we're friends. We like each other. It's hard to describe when alchemy happens, but I'm very good at getting an idea for a show, and I'm very, very good at thinking up the title to a show. Peter is the one who finally is making sense. When we have a mashup, he little by little makes sense of it. Peter is a genius at it. We have dolls, we have serious work, we have things in frames.
The idea of a shop window actually was a major part of the exhibition, where we could link together lots of wildly ranging work. Other parts of the gallery, like the quieter work of Aaron and Caroline, that's in a more quieter part of the gallery. But in terms of the shop front window, some very striking work in there, including Anne-Sophie Kochevalou's work, which is a very subversive little take on elegant fashion. And one of the artists who is great to have in the exhibition, Maria Fernanda, is one of the older state ladies of the sewing world.
She's a master crocheter. She has incredible technical skills. And there's a case full of, I'm a great fan of her work. Here I have a little, this is Venus arising from the sea, but Disney style. This is her work. And you can see her work in the cases here. Tremendous amount of work goes into this, but really wild imagination. And that's what we all admire so much. You're absolutely unique. I think there's no end to your imagination. Kathy Keefe, who always does something wonderful, this year she did a huge shadow box, and I'm in the shadow box. Me, Anne-Sophie, and Florent, the Three Musketeers.
The first figure I made was Sue, and I don't know why, it's almost as if it's not me that's making it. I just kind of get taken over by whatever it is that I'm inspired by. Of course it had to be Florent, and it had to be Anne-Sophie. And I've given Anne-Sophie the Eiffel Tower, and also Bonnie.
We never know what she's going to do, and it's always something fascinating.
One of the great things about the gallery is that artists that we love and enjoy and like us, we support, and we're seeing great developments with Emma White, where she's a very creative glass artist.
She said, I'm going to make a quilt with squares of glass and stitch them together. And she did. It's the most remarkable piece.
And the other artist who's really pushed the boat this time is Jamie Freestone, because he's actually a painter. He's a multi-talented artist, but this year combined paint with threads.
We have a young woman named Kansu Odimis, who's known as Madame Fairy. She does not knit or crochet, but she stitches, and she does couture. And it's about femininity and what women do to themselves. It's about plastic surgery. It is the most fascinating work, all handmade, hand embellished, hand embroidered, and quite profound and important work and very beautiful to look at.
It's not just about plastic surgeries. We have lots of problems like drug usage, alcoholism, the eating disorders, and you can see all of them there. All my designs are quite playful, I know, but actually they're all explain, tells very sad stories and analyze very serious concepts in a playful way.
It's a combination of fun and art and color and unexpectedness. So Jill Navarro, she added a tremendous amount to the show. Very proud to have her in the show.
I like to be like immersed in this big weird shape, like kind of like structure where it's like everything like reacts to light and all it creates all these shadows and movement. I don't like artwork in squares. You have to put it in a space. It's all like site specific, which is good. And every time you show, you can add like different lighting or different kind of movement to it. Or yeah.
Jill called me and she said, "Do you have a sitting mannequin?" I said, "Honey, I got mannequins." And we dressed her, and she's surrounded and engulfed in these chandeliers. We've never done anything like that. It's extraordinary. And so when people come into the gallery, boing, they see that right away, and their mindset is ready for what's coming.
One of the most striking elements of the exhibition, and to do with the environment, is the work of Vivian Horn. Once they realise it's actually made out of plastic, recycled plastic bags, the wow factor is extraordinary.
Just walking down the street and just seeing them blowing around, I'll pick them up and stick them in my pocket. You know, I go on holiday and I fish stuff out of the sea. I've always been a recycler somehow. And it's just like, what glorious colours. And it's free. It's like you have to go and buy your yarn. Essentially, it's like people just give it to me. So, yeah, I'm a bit upset actually because I can't get the orange Sainsbury's bags anymore. They've changed. I always wanted to use plastic somehow. And yeah, just one day, just pure boredom, just no work, boredom, what am I going to do? Go out and spend money or do something. So I just thought, wonder if I can, and I could. Turned out that I could. So. And I looked on the internet, and it's a big thing in Canada and Africa. And it's called Plan. It even has its own name. And then I found a mannequin in a skip and brought her home. And first of all, I just started putting white chicken wire around the body, and I was weaving with the plastic. And then one day it was just like, oh, I wonder if I can actually, like, I've learned a few stitches now, I wonder if I can actually do something with it. And I could. Everybody keeps on giving me body parts now as well. I've got them all over the place, I've got too many. I had to go at making canvases. I've not tried that before, so yeah, I think some of them turned out pretty good.
I'm always sort of looking for people, little scenarios really that amuse me, that I find interesting. You know, and I really like the image of the lady pushing a buggy with all her things mounted on and it looking like they could fall off at any moment. Like the other artists you talk to, I do use a lot of vintage fabrics. They're mainly from charity shops or on eBay. And quite often, like with this one, I'm using emulsion paint over the top to sort of like knock them back a bit so they're not too bright, they're more subdued. You know, I spend a lot of time, it's very considered.
The thought came about of having the globe, our planet, and how precious it is, and covering it with to kind of protect it, but also in protecting it, the suffocation of it through plastic and the rotting flowers to represent the rotting of our planet away. And then I have boats made out of money because money won't save us. And these are kind of shooting stars, the world and the universe that we are all part of.
It's very dark times in England and in America and all over the world. Everything seems to be in a very dark place. And we're giving people color, we're giving them something whimsical, we make them smile, sometimes we even make them laugh. It's an absolutely bonkers show, although it has some serious work in it as well. It's a dream of a show.
Yeah, I've got my big lights with me, so it's really cool. She just asked me, she's like, because she just said like I'm doing this exhibition about knitwear, and she knew I was doing knitwear for ages before, so I want to do something within the show with like my knitwear within the, because it's like it just fits so well. It's like such a like vibrant colour knitwear. That's what I was literally doing all the time. So I've got like bags of it. And by that, so I had something out. I expected to do like eight outfits, and so I was like just grabbing people like you can model for me. There was this one girl. And she was like, oh no, I'm not sure. And then 5 minutes later, I was like, I might do it. I'm like, yes, you will. Yes, you will do it. You will model for this amazing fashion show. And she was great. They were all really, really good. They all had their own like personal style and all had a great energy to it. And it was really fun, really great show. Like I really enjoyed it.
I didn't know until I turned up actually what it was going to be. And Sue just said, there's costumes left, Vivian, go and get changed. And I got the last costume, I think, which was the stringy one. Got to choose my own music more or less, or my own kind of beat. I just danced really, just like, yeah, I like dancing. Thank you, Jill.
Because I'm just like doing 50 jobs at once. Like I do the lighting, because I do everything in UV, you got to do the lighting and the clothes, and then dress people, and then tell them what to like, how to walk and how to like perform, and get people in like, and get everything set up, and make sure, keep an eye on everything else. So I'm literally like you know, all over the place.
But it's always a pleasure to welcome artists and people from the community into here and into our fabulous art gallery. I have a friend named Jane Navarro,
And she is a knitting genius, so she has agreed to do a neon fashion show. it's the best show we've ever done. I shouldn't say that because all the shows have been good.